everybody, this is Carol Hill. In this video, I will be sharing how to break your brick wall using tax records. During the video, I will talk to you about how to locate tax records on FamilySearch.org, how to search and track them through every record, and how by doing this will help you in breaking your brick wall. But before we get started, I just wanted to tell you a little background on my ancestor, Fernie George. The earliest record I have on him is in the 1840 Decatur County, Georgia census. And living next door to him is a Daniel George. And this Daniel George is the age where he could be Fernie's father. So I'm thinking he probably is his father. So I thought, well, let's go back on Daniel George. And Daniel George is on the 1830 Decatur County, Georgia census. So what I want to do is look at some tax records on them, if I can find them, and see, what's going on in the taxes to see if that will help me in determining if this is his father. And one thing you want to do when you are looking through tax records is you want to keep track of these taxes till you see them come into the picture until you see them leave the picture. And what I mean by picture is just when they appear in the tax records, they could be just moving into the county, or the male could be turning 21 years old. And also when you see that they're not there anymore, they've either possibly passed away or left the county. So that's why you want to track them through every single record. And also, as I mentioned, to be on the tax records, a male would usually be around 21 years of age to have to pay an individual or a poll tax. So these are I wanted to show you an example of the notes that I took when I was doing this research on my ancestor, Fernie George. Another thing you want to do too is you want to take the surname. So I would take the George surname and I would search for every George in this county, every person in the county that had the last name of George, because as you know, in these early records, it's really hard to determine how families look at that time period. And so to be able to look through these, you can get some good ideas. For instance, there in 1824, there's an Eli George who's an agent for Tabitha, and she's an agent for Isaiah and Louisa George. And by agent, we mean that they are acting on behalf of another person. So possibly they're paying the taxes for them or went down to pay them. And then anyway, and so this just keeps going on. And so you will take out all the George surnames or your surname that you're searching on and kind of determine how these families look. So let me show you. We're going to go ahead and go to FamilySearch.org and I can explain a little better what I am talking about. All right, so we're going to go to FamilySearch.org and we're going to go ahead and search. And I like to go straight to the catalog. So we're going to click on catalog. Now when you come here to the Family Search catalog, you'll see on this left-hand side, search by place, and that is the default. So I'm going to go ahead and search for Georgia, Decatur, and you can see United States, Georgia, Decatur. I click on that green, pops in there, and then always hit the search button. Okay, so when you get to this point, this is all the records that Family Search has in their catalog. And so, and one thing too, it's nice to read these notes. Decatur County was created from Early County in 1823. So I'm not going to find tax records earlier than 1823, and possibly they own the land in Early County. So always check this too at the top. But what we're going to look for in here is the taxation records, and they are right down here. It's in alphabetical order. So you can click taxation. And as you can see, there are tax digests 1824 to 1866. So those are the perfect years that I want to look at to see if I can figure out this Daniel and Fernie George and all the Georges in the county. Okay, so this will give you a little background information. This was filmed by the Genealogical Society of Utah in 1961 in Atlanta, Georgia. So they were located at Georgia Department of Archives and History. And there are 5 microfilm reels. And so what we're going to do is look at this first one. As you can see, the first one covers these years. The location is the Family History Library. If you were to go to Salt Lake City, they would be United States and Canada film section. Here's the film number. But what I love is that over here on the right, anytime you see a camera, you can browse the images online. And so that's what we're going to do. Just go ahead and click this camera. And this is going to bring you to the tax. Oops, I have to sign in. So if you're not a member of Family Search, you can just sign up and do a free account right then, because they will have you sign in. Sometimes you have to and sometimes you don't. All right, so what this is a film strip of those books, those tax digest that the Genealogical Society filmed back in 1961. So let me show you, as you can see up here, this shows image 1 of 552. So there are almost 552 pages on these tax books. And they do take a little bit of time to go through, but I'm going to show you how we do that. But before we do that, I just want to show you, so you can click on these. If you double click, it'll make it bigger and zoom it in for you. And then you can also use this zoom in and zoom out. And then you can also go back to the browsing the multiple images. So let me show you this first page. Just shows you that this book that we're going to look at first is Tax Digest. Let me see if I can zoom that in a little more. For 1825, well, 24, 25, 26, 28, 29, and 30. And you may not have every single year, but you'll want to search what years you do have. So let's go ahead and go back. Well, let me tell you first is you can just start here. So I'm on image 1 and just start going through the various images step by step. And that's what you're going to want to do eventually. But let me first back out and show you. Let me go to those multiple images again, because this is the first book. But if I scroll down a little bit, you can see where one book begins and one ends. So I wanted to show you that. It's not going to be, this one is going to be for different tax years. So the first one is going to end there, and then you're going to see the beginning, just so that you're not confused on that, because when there are a lot of records in one film strip, there will be definitely a few books. So let's go ahead. I wanted to show you image 7. So you can actually click over here to select the image. Since I know which image I want to go to, I'm going to go ahead and go to image 7. So you can put the number in there and then just click enter on your keyboard. So that took me to image 7. And then if I want to zoom in, I could double click on that. So I wanted to show you what this tax record looks like, because this is going to be different for different counties that you search. It may not look like this. And so in this county, what they did was they went ahead and put the name of the person, and that is males 21 and over typically. I mean, it could be different, but assume it's about 21. And so what he's paying is a poll tax. So that's just an individual tax because he's over 21. And then this shows his number of acres, the quality of the land, which I noticed a lot of them just say that they're fine, and then the county that he's paying the taxes for and where the land is. So see in this one, this Henry Cravey, his land is actually in Early County, Texas. I mean, not Texas, Georgia. I have lots of kids in Texas, Georgia, and it's it actually, if you remember, that Decatur County was actually created from Early, so that's not surprising that he has land there. And then this will tell you the district and the number of where the property is located. And then this also is, they're getting taxed on how many slaves they have and also their carriage. So as you can see, there's the poll tax, the real property tax, and then also some personal tax for their carriage, or I guess if they were property. So that is the page, and that just shows you what they're being taxed on. And one thing I want to mention too is that sometimes you will find these tax records, and the people being taxed will be in alphabetical order, or sometimes they'll be by visitation, in visitation order. And so what's really nice about the visitation order is that you can see who's living around them, and later on you might see that maybe it's a son-in-law or someone else related, or even a woman can show up if they own land too, but they wouldn't have the poll tax typically. So anyway, let me show you. So what I did was I went through page by page, and it took a little while, so be prepared to spend several hours doing this, and you might want to break it up and take a break. But I went through page by page and looked for my ancestors, and I was just going to show you the first page that I found the Daniel George on. And again, did you see I put in 26 and I hit the enter on my computer and it took me to page 26. Okay, so this tells me the district that he's living in or being taxed by. And then this is his name, Daniel George, and he's doing the poll tax. Here's his acreage, if it's the quality of it. And what's interesting here is the county also that he's paying, that his land is in. And so what I learned from this is that he actually owns some land in Thomas County, which is right next to Decatur. And then this looks like Lawrence County to me, and so it shows that he also owns some land there. And so this is awesome, because this gives me another place to look for him buying and selling land and see what I can find there. You just never know. So district and also the number. And so right here too is, like I said, this isn't in alphabetical order, it's in visitation order. So possibly later on I would learn that maybe these are some of his son-in-laws, and I'd be able to find a marriage for the children. Because as you know, if you work in the South very much, it's really, really tough to find that information. So I hope this makes sense. You just want to go through each page, keep track of them on you can either do a spreadsheet or a Google Doc or Word document, OneNote, anything that you want to do. And you can even just write this down on a piece of paper, and just make sure and keep track and see what you come up with. A couple of things that I found from doing this is that the Daniel George, he actually was an agent for Amos George. He also was an agent for my Fernie George, and so that makes me think that he could be a possible father. I also found some other information, like when he appeared in 1827 in the tax records, and then I couldn't find him after 1840. And so he may have died then, or may have left the county, and so it's other things that I can look for. But anyway, take a look and do this. I would love to hear what you find, and please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to hear from you soon.